Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Dreams and Resilience. And here we have an exclusive podcast today with Matt Skelton. How you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you guys for inviting me in.
No, it's been our pleasure. How's your day been though?
How's your day been today?
So I've had a pretty quiet morning really. So my normal routine on a Saturday, I normally go for a run. I sort of go out and try and keep myself relatively fit. I've got a dog, I normally take him out and we sort of do the marina or something like that. It's about a 5k general run.
That's 5k on every Saturday?
Yeah.
Every Saturday I try and do about a 5k, not at a great pace. He runs with me if he needs to stop, which I gladly welcome sometimes because I stop and wait for him. But yeah, just to sort of keep myself relatively fit.
It's funny as well because I remember when I used to go to the Marina, because you do go to the Marina Prairie, isn't it?
That's right.
So I always see you there. So every time I see him, I'm just like, I just wave at
Yeah. It's not great at this time of the year because it's always flooded, but in the summer it's good atmosphere. A lot of people around, so it's quite buzzing.
Yeah, that's amazing. But before we go, everyone knows Max Skelton is a legendary former boxer champion. But would you just tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself? You don't need no introduction. You know, everyone knows you. Just for our viewers who don't, just joining us today.
I was born in Bedford, grew up in Bedford, of West Indian heritage. I've got 7 brothers and 7 siblings. I have 6 sisters and 1 brother. So yeah, we're all here somewhere in the States, but so Bedford's been my home for a long time. You get to know everybody, you see a lot of people on a regular basis, and it's quite a very multicultural town, which I like. Different nationalities, and a friendly town. Obviously every town has its some sort of stigma, I suppose, but you know, on the whole I think it's a good welcoming town.
Definitely. That's what you say a lot of the time, like everyone that comes to Bedford is like, it's very multicultural, like, and it's a good thing as well because everyone's just here together as well. So
100%, bro. You know, like you said, so you're a former pro boxer, kickboxer, MMA fighter. There's lots of like achievement you have done in your life, you know. That's why it's very important for you to come on a podcast and talk about your achievement, your struggles, and how do you going through it to inspire young generation. It's very, very important to coming out of your point of view that what should generation should do. So first question we like to ask you today is the main topic is about talking about the mindset of a champion. You understand?
I understand.
And it's what that so the script we have is a bit different, but I really want to start. What's that mindset that takes from champion point of view and from normal point of view?
Well, I think in anything, not my chosen career, sport, whatever, or direction in life was to become a fighting, in the fight game. But I believe in anything you set your sights on, if you've got that mindset that you want to achieve. And people always think of achievements of climbing Mount Everest or doing great things which is going to leave your name in history. It isn't always that. It could be personal achievements. It could be, if you were struggling at school, say, to understand certain types of maths, and you say, I want to grasp this for any reason, you can then come away and put your studies down. If you sit back and think, I've actually achieved that at school, I found that so hard. You've achieved your goal, and that was your goal. When we talk of like I say, we always think it has to be something, this guy sailed around the world or something like that. It isn't like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It just so happens that my career took me around the world. I was very fortunate, and put me in the public eye a bit more. But it's. I think that mindset is something. If you haven't got it, you can develop. Because I think
that's very good.
I think you kind of have ambitions and you go for those goals. And I think if you go for those goals with determination, but it's also it's nice if you've got the support around you. If you have your friends or family who champion you and say, you can do it, and have this positive mindset. And I think to surround yourself with positive people is a good thing.
Going to the first question, like what we talk about the mindset is, like you said, the support team, the vision, the imagination. How do you start this journey to get into the sport compact? Where do you start? What vision you hope?
Well, for me, and it sounds a bit, I don't want to be cliche, and kind of, everybody thinks I was at school, you wanted to be a boxer, you wanted to do this and that. At school, I was just, in general, like sports. I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed the competitive side of it. My friends always used to say to me, "Mate, you can't just have a game of badminton just for enjoyment. You want to win." I said, "Yeah, but that's just my competitive nature." So for me, at school, I was enjoying school. I liked school. Ironically enough, I did like school because I was quite a social person. So I didn't want to miss school because my friends were at school, and I'd want to sort of enjoy my time with them.
Keeping on that topic, I mean, as a young generation, when you're 13 and 14, I'm touching everyone right now. It's really hard to stay focused on what you want in a life because you got distracted by, you want to spend more time with your friends and mates. You want to do the things they do. You want to socialize more. And do you think when you was growing up that time, you had that vision in your mind? I'm going to be a world champion, European champion. I'm going to be a Commonwealth champion. Do you think that vision? You had that vision that time?
No. Believe it or not, my vision was I wanted to be a carpenter, and that's the truth. I wanted to. I loved sort of messing around with things at home, fixing things, doing things. And I was at school, and we done back then it was called woodwork, woodwork. You'd be making things in woodwork. And I remember I made this chess table.
Wow.
And I remember the teacher coming and said, "Oh, that's such a good chess table." One of the other teachers are willing to sort of buy it off you, and I said, "No, I want to take it home." And something I was really proud of. So I left school wanting to be a carpenter, but I've always had an interest in sport, whether it be athletics. I used to compete for the school, the county, then rugby, because maybe the physical side of it, which I really enjoyed. I went for trials at Bedford, me and my friend, a Pakistani guy, and we went and we used to play at Bedford Ave, and we went down for trials. And at the time, and I don't want to sort of pigeonhole people, but a lot of the guys there were from public school background, and we just kind of didn't fit in. And I remember at half time after the trial session, just me and my friend Umran, and who I still see from time to time, we stood up and we sort of said, "Oh, how'd you find it?" And I said, "Yeah, I loved it." And he goes, "Will you be coming back next week?" And we kind of looked and we said, no. And I don't think it was, I don't want to put it down to race or anything like that. I think it was just more of a class thing. These guys.
So it's only for classy people. We don't make it. So do you think that kind of like having that, the stereotype thing in your head, "Oh shit, I can't make it because I'm from that kind of background"?
You kind of think, it's not even that you can't, I think you think you don't fit in. And when you're young, you want to fit in, don't you? You want to
feeling rejected somehow.
That's right. You want to be with people of similar mindset, similar background. You don't want to be with people talking about, "Oh, we're going skiing next week," and I'm thinking, well, my summer holiday, I'm hanging around on the square, Faraday Square, and it's just circumstance sometimes where people are in a certain thing, and I don't begrudge them. I don't hold any animosity towards them or anything like that. I think it's just life. People come from different backgrounds, different financial status and so forth, and it's just one thing. So in saying that, you can chase your goals. So you can always say, do I look at something I want to do because I want to be financially secure, or do I look at something I want to do because I love it, and it may not bring you that financial security
that time,
but it's something, because you can see. So I always say to people, don't look at a man who's become a millionaire by selling fruit
Yeah.
Because that might have been his passion. So
yeah,
he can work at that, and he's willing to put in the long days and so forth, and he's made a lot of money. Because if you haven't got that passion, you're not going to be the same as that man.
100%. I mean, some things comes as a habit, something become habits into passion.
That's right.
And that passion turn into like something you really as a goal.
That's right.
That's a great thing you want to do.
Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to be a carpenter, and circumstances again, I didn't go down that route. Back when I was leaving school, there was what's known as a YTS scheme, where you go to work in a work environment, and you're earning something. I think it was about £35 a week and so forth. But I couldn't do that because I wanted to go out and earn money. I just wanted to earn money to sort of support myself and so forth. So my first job was in a warehouse, bringing, like £110 a week or something.
£110 for a week.
Yeah.
Are we talking about?
But when you're a 16-year-old boy, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that's a lot.
Just to retouch from what we're just talking about because of your childhood and stuff. At what point did you actually start taking combat sports seriously?
Yeah.
So I went to watch a friend of mine, and I'm going to mention him. He'd probably be a bit embarrassed, but he's a guy called Kenneth Downer, and he's a bit older than me, but he was quite sporty, and I went to watch him in a kickboxing show, which at the time was at Chicks Hands, and there was a big show on there, and I found myself standing on the stool, on the chair, cheering him on, come on, Ken, come on, and he knocked this guy, and I thought, I was so excited. The exhilaration was amazing. So I was speaking to him after. He goes, Matt, you should come along. You should come along and train and that. And I said, nah, because I'm still young. These guys, when you're like I was now sort of 20 years old, but these guys were like mid-20s, late 20s. And so they're like, these big guys want to get me there, because I was quite tall and rangy, and I thought, these guys want to get me there and beat me up. That's what I thought. I'm this big kid, they're going to... So eventually I went down, and ironically enough, because of my height and my size, they put me in with some of the guys who were more experienced. And I'll never forget, I was sparring with Ken, and bear in mind I'd done nothing, so after a few weeks they put me some gloves on and we were sparring away, and every time I was holding my hands up to protect myself, he was tapping my glove and punching me in my face, and I was thinking, I don't want this. So I went home and I thought, well, why can't I do that to him? So then I went back the following week and I'm trying to do this. So ultimately we had a toe-to-toe, a bit of a war, but it was all in good spirit. And anyway, that happened. The following week I come back and he said to me, he goes, you're going to be good. I said, why? He goes, because most of the guys who come in here, we have a toe-to-toe, they don't come back. They've took a few heavy shots, they don't want to know. I said, all right, so it just progressed from there. And I was 20, coming up 21, and within a year, my instructor, a guy called Nigel Howlett, asked me if I wanted to do a fight, a Thai boxing fight. Very basic fight, so they put me in with someone who'd had maybe 5 fights. And as they say, it went from there.
Starts from there.
Yeah. But I loved it, you see. I used to kind of be away from the gym and be practicing kicks at home and going running, and I loved the training element. I loved the kind of discipline, what was involved. I loved the fact that you're going back and you're pitting your skill against someone else. But it's also the mindset, because you get hurt, you can get hurt, and you take a heavy shot and you think, oh man, but you think, nah, go on, and why did I take that heavy shot? So you think, how can you make that not happen again? So to me it was always a challenge to improve, to stop to
develop that skill more, so you can perfect it. Not perfect it, I mean, you can't really perfect it, but you can get it better every time.
You can, and sometimes, you look at the average sort of street fight, probably lasts all of 30 seconds, but when you think about the discipline, what you have to get when you do some sort of martial arts or some fighting combat sport, you kind of have to think about it. You take on board what the people who know better, the instructors are telling you, and you work with that. And it could be very basic, but then you see that's helping you, and you continue down that road.
Like learning from the most experienced as well.
That's right, yeah.
It's good to hear, I mean, it's very important to hear from the successful people. Like Matt said, being successful doesn't mean you have a big cause or something. It could be the smallest achievement that you're trying to do from your whole life, and you just say that's just being successful.
So I think everybody's got a backstory. So whether it's like I said, it may not be, I talk to people who now never had the opportunity, and things have changed now. So you got people from what I call a working class, but have the opportunity to go to uni now and get degrees and so forth. And once, in my time, that was kind of unheard of. The financial implications and so forth, it couldn't happen.
That's what brings us to the next question is like, what struggles you have that when you was going into combat sports?
Yeah, so it was hard because still there are people who see combat sports as, every now and again something will come up, we should ban boxing and so forth, and which you can understand, it's a fighting sport, but I think if it's consented between two adults of sound mind and it's overseen and done properly and safeguard things are put into place, I don't see nothing wrong with it. And if you look at boxing when it's people of a good level and are pitted against each other, you don't really get a lot of serious injuries. And if you look at a lot of people that do boxing from grassroots level up to professional level, there's a lot, not just the guys we see on TV and so forth. It was hard for me because obviously when you want to compete and travel abroad, you kind of trying to look for sponsorships and so forth. And when I first started, although I ended my career in boxing, my career was Thai boxing, and I had the opportunity to go and fight in Thailand representing Great Britain. And it was hard to get the sponsorship, but then Sports UK come forward and helped to pay for my flight and so forth. So I went to Thailand and competed. But again, it was still it's an amateur level. When I say amateur, we fought as hard as the professionals, if you want.
But because they're sick.
But we weren't earning the money, if you want.
But Thailand does it. Muay Thai is their main sport, isn't it?
It's one of their main sports, So, I've been to Thailand, competed in the national stadium and so forth. And like I said, we were with a guy called Nigel Howlett. He took 13 of us. We were sort of from welterweight right up to super heavyweight. And I remember being there and I was overwhelmed by the whole scenario of being in Thailand, in Bangkok, going to Rajanamnern Stadium, and just the culture was amazing. And I remember, so you go there, your eyes are open, and all the other guys were going out on the evening, and I went out once, and then I stayed in the hotel all the time because I thought, no, I've come here.
You're focused.
For a reason, not to go out and party and so forth. And to my credit, I'm the only one who took home a medal. And it was a gold medal, and I cherish that out of all. I have a lovely belt from it. I cherish that out of all my achievements. And I look back and I think, wow, you went there as this young man.
That's very important. That's very important. When you go for training camps and all that, you stay focused because we get distracted by all this scenery. You might have traveled all over the world so
that's
far.
Right.
We'll come into the top there as well. But when you're in a training camp, you have to stay focused. That's what I'm paying for. This is my main goal. This is a medal I want. This is a fucking belt I want. I'm gonna take it and enjoy it afterwards.
And like I said, I was just overwhelmed to be there. But so I remember, in a Thai boxing fight, it was over 5 rounds. But if they have a draw at the end of it, you have to do an extra round.
Wow, that's another extra strap now.
So I'm fighting in Bangkok. You can't drink the water, you're drinking bottles of water. So round 5, the referee says draw, and I'm looked to my corner thinking, I can't believe this.
So you gotta go again.
So we fight another round, and they're talking, the judges are talking, they said, draw, one more round. And I'm thinking, please, you can't be making this up. So I remember my trainer says, Matt, you gotta just walk him down. Just walk him down, walk him down. So I was just putting my guard up and I'm walking forward. I'm throwing low leg kick, roundhouses. I remember I threw a really, and he dropped to the ground. He was exhausted. The effort he took to get up, I thought, I've got this. So I just carried on kicking him. I dropped him about 3 or 4 times. in that last round. And when they lifted my hand, I dropped to my knees, and the feeling I had was overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is amazing. So we've come out of the thing, and I'm drinking bottles of water like they're going out of fashion. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. And then on the way back on the plane, because it's such a big sport over there, you know, like.
And winning over there in the home country. Oh,
yeah,
that's
you know, the stewards were like, I'm treating you like a superstar.
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 25.
25. Wow.
Yeah, 25.
Flying to a different country.
Yeah, 25.
And get beat one of their main sport is fucking.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. But also, you know, I had the opportunity. I met the king over there, the president. You know, they treated us. They were so welcoming. They treated us amazing. And it was. That's still one of my biggest achievements.
Do you think that was where you realized, oh yeah, this sport is finally started paying me because of my hard work? Do you think that or something started happening?
Yeah, but you know, still, I wasn't looking at the finances. I was just still enjoying
the journey.
Yeah, I was just still enjoying it. Still, it kind of made you want to think, now I've got this. I've come away as a world champion in Thai boxing, as an amateur, if you want. So now this opens the door, because at the time there was a circuit in Japan called the K1 circuit, where all the top fighters from around the world were competing and earning what I class as good money, you know, something you can live off, you know. So I kind of put together a kind of a backstory and send my fights over, my record and so forth, thinking, are they going to accept me? I worked with Quan Sports, who were in Germany at the time. So eventually we got the offer to go and fight in Japan. And like,
how did I go there?
Oh man, it was, again, so we've gone to Japan, we're in Tokyo. We were put up in a house with a guy called Andy Hug, who was a Swiss champion, but he was well respected because he ended up living in Japan, taking on their culture and so forth. So they respected him so much. So we stayed in one of his houses, got up every morning, we went running, we were training. The guy I was meant to fight, he had to pull out for injury 3 days before my fight. So I've been watching this guy. This is the guy I'm going to fight, trying to learn everything about him. And they said to me, oh, we've got you a replacement opponent, thinking nothing of it. And his name is Jan Nolte. Well, this guy's 6'9", southpaw from South Africa. I'm thinking, I know nothing about this guy.
Yeah, it's like you got to learn everything about him as well.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so my trainer, Nigel, his mindset was good. He goes, doesn't matter, Matt. He goes, we'll have a quick look at the tape. And we looked at this tape, I mean, this man's a man mountain. And like, Nigel was saying, simple, left-right combination, low rounder. Simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. You won't have your stamina, your fitness and so forth. So I done it, I went out there, and I remember the first round I come out, and I know it sounds silly, I'd never really sparred with southpaws. There weren't a lot of southpaws in. And I come out, and if you see the footage of it, which is on YouTube, I've walked out, and this guy's caught me with a straight left hand because he's southpaw. And I'm thinking I'm normally going to stay away from his right, but he's caught me with
left.
And you can literally see my legs go, and I'm thinking, oh my God. But I thought, I started to throw the jab, left, right, move around. And in the end, I think it was round 3, I caught him with a body shot and cracked his rib. And think, but I remember standing there afterwards, they give you the trophy and so forth. And I thought, pardon my French, but shit, my foot was starting to swell up. I'd fractured my foot, as in kicking him and so forth. So I just made my way back to the hotel, and I stayed in that bed until ready to fly home, you know. But you know, so all of a sudden I'm now being offered a contract on the K1 circuit, which at the time, the only British fighter to be offered that, fighting guys from all around Europe, all around the world. And I had a 4-year contract out there, so I didn't live out there for 4 years.
You lived there for
No, I didn't. I'd go there, I'd fight, stay for like 7 or 8 days, come back, and then train here, and then go back. But I think I've visited Japan on total about 16 times.
16 times.
How did you find the training though? Because you got to fight back again. And then
I mean, we went out there, so we'd go to a gym out there, use their gyms and so forth. Yeah, do you know the biggest thing for me at the time was it was quite a lonely world. Yeah. So although you were with your trainer and so forth during the day, you know, come a certain time, the training camp was finished, and you'd be in your hotel room, and you're kind of like your body clock's trying to adjust. But it was quite lonely. I remember at one stage I thought, I've had enough of CNN news. You know, it's the only thing I could listen to. You know, like. But yeah, it was quite a lonely world. But again, my mindset thought, this is for my goals. This is what I want to achieve.
This is for you.
Long term, So you kind of get over it, and you look back now and you think, wow, you know. And I sort of look back and think, you were there so focused on what you want to do. And people say, have you got loads of photos of Japan and so forth? And I say, no, not really. You know, because I just would stay in my hotel room, go to the gym, train, and go back.
That's the thing, you know. You were so focused, like on your goal. You don't want to you don't want no distraction.
That's right.
At all to stop you what you want to came. But it's a lonely world, you know. When you're climbing up, it's just got lonely, guys. When you just want to reach some stage and you don't see no one around you. But remember, nobody's gonna share the same vision as you.
Yeah, that's right.
If you have a vision to get a belt or climb a mountain, it does get lonely there. But you just got to remember, it is for me and the people around me.
That's right.
I'm the main hero in my own story.
And that's what happened to a lot of these people as well. They just go through halfway through and it's like, nah, I can't do this anymore, because obviously the mindset and discipline is not really there. So it's like,
and it is hard. It is hard. It's also, you know, I'm not trying to. There might be people who tried to go on that journey and didn't work out, but other things may have took them off that path, and it may not even be a fighting sport. It may be someone who had a career, who wanted to have a career in, you know, journalism or law or something of that nature, and they're doing it, and there's something else they have to put on the back burner because it could be a family issue, and that takes priority. So I'm not boo-hooing that, because it's hard, and you kind of have to sit down and do you sacrifice something to do with your family over to do your career. And then if you're, suppose for example you have a family member who's ill and you don't know if they're going to be here in a year's time, you wouldn't sacrifice over your career would have to go on the back burner, because family is our utmost. And then
not even gonna lie, I like this behind the scene talk very much, because I'm just thinking, like, I'm learning so much today, like, you know, from you, and the conversation is so good. Like, I'm just thinking I'm speaking to my granddad or dad something, you know. You know, I've been
I like the dad
bit. Especially someone who's been great in the sports, you know. I'm a sports background as well, so I'm just loving this so much. Once again, I would like to thank Max Skelton for coming on a podcast, you know, enlighten us with the wisdom, you know, achievements. You talk about your struggle so far, and you're talking about your achievement stories as well. We love to hear more about it.
More. I was literally just gonna jump on that because we just spoke about training. But now let's just talk about achievements. We've learned that you've actually won the WBA as well, and some European belts and stuff.
So in my Thai boxing career, I was 5 times world champion as a Thai boxer. And like I say, one of my great achievements was the one I won in Thailand. Going over there, their own sport on their home ground, and this belt, it's in the case. I love it. And then I came away from that and went into boxing, and I also believe luck was on my side, but I grabbed it with both hands. So like I said, I never had an amateur background in boxing, and again, it's very hard to move over into boxing. So I was what made me go down that route initially, I went to Japan, and I was unbeaten for, I think now, 37 fights as a
37 fights.
37 as a Thai boxer. And I went there and I lost the fight. And I remember coming home on the plane and thinking, my money's the same. I'm okay. But I have to say the word lost, and it kind of really grinded.
Stuck into it because you haven't been lost.
And I thought, why did I lose? So I started to question it. I thought, do you know what it is? In my gym in England, I had no heavyweights. I was fighting these big guys who were fit for their size. I was quite dominant in my gym. So I said I needed to go and get to a gym where there's heavyweights. So a friend of mine introduced me to a guy called Mark Freeman, who was like a fitness fanatic, and God rest his soul, he's not with us no more, but he became a friend and so forth. But he took me under his wing, and we started to do a lot of training, a lot of fitness work. But then I started to go to a boxing gym in Peterborough, and I started to spar with a heavyweight there called Derek McCafferty, who was good fighter, very tough, good gym fighter, but his mindset, he kept saying to me, when he goes to fight, he kind of lost it a bit. He was a bit jaded, he was a bit worried. And I said, the way I view it is that someone's trying to take food from your table, and you don't want this to happen, so you're fighting for everything. We were there trained away, so at this time, I wasn't a pro boxer, if you want. And he had the opportunity to go up to Blackpool to spar with a guy called Matthew Ellis, who was ranked number 6 or 7 in Great Britain. Matthew Ellis was due to fight Audley Harrison at the time, who just won an Olympic gold, turned pro.
Olympic gold that time.
Yeah. That's right.
That's big.
And then I thought to myself, I'll go up and spar. I was like, I just wanted to go out there. They were going to be paying me to spar, and I thought a result, free food, everything, staying over. Yeah. So I've gone out there. First day we didn't spar. Second day we didn't spar. Third day we get gloved up, we're sparring, and we better have had a toe-to-toe, and I was getting the better of this guy who was now preparing to fight Audley Harrison. And his dad was his coach, trainer, and he said to me, how many fights have you had as a pro? I said, I'm not even a pro yet. He goes, you should consider boxing. I said, well, I'm a bit long in the tooth now, so I'm in my 30s now. And he says, no, he goes, I think you'd at least get sort of English standard level. So I come back, spoke to my trainer. So at the time, one of the guys from the boxing board come to watch me spar. He granted me my license, and I went on from there and turned pro.
So you think that loss really clicked you to thinking that, okay, I reached that standard, now to reach the next standard, I have to speed up my training, I have to train with better people, I have to change my mindset from that normal to extraordinary person. Do you think that's really clicked you? That also changed your destination from a kickboxing to boxer.
Yes, and I think it was kind of right timing. So I still had a contract in Japan, but I was sort of, had another 3 or 4 fights left on my contract. And believe it or not, like I said, it's quite a lonely world. You jump in on a plane for 11 hours. All right, me and my 2 trainers were going, but you spend time with them when you're in the gym over there. Yeah. But after that, they go out. They can go and drink, party. You have to go to bed, and and it became quite. So I sort of got a bit tired of the travelling, if you want. So when the opportunity comes for me to fight and be in England and boxing is obviously a massive sport over here, I thought, why not? Let's do it. I can earn a living still, and provide for my family. So I done that, and then the story goes, they took me to London to spar with a guy who was going to sign a contract with the Maloneys at the time. The Maloneys, Frank Warren, were the guys who were like the dominant force in British boxing. Frank Maloney was looking after Lennox Lewis at the time. Lennox Lewis' career was just coming to an end. So I went to London to spar, and I was sparring, and Frank Maloney was doing an interview with Sky Sports, and he says, can you just wait until I finish? I want to watch the sparring. So I'm sparring now afterwards with this big guy, he's about 6 something. He was from South London. He was waiting to sign a contract. They wanted to see his sparring, but he was sort of really putting it on me, as they say. And my trainer said to me, "Don't let him do that. He's taking liberties." So and I caught him, knocked him down. And in the end, I stopped him. We stopped the sparring, and when we went back to the changing room, they come and call me and say, "Can we have a word?" And they offered me the contract. And I thought,
you see, that's called destination, isn't it? That's what it was meant for you.
Absolutely.
It was meant for you. When the God put up the plans for you, and you just gotta trust. You just trust the process. And God will put you into it. You just have to be, focus and trust the process. The journey. It will come there. It does get lonely, like you said.
It is lonely.
But it was destined for you just to go from sparring to get into the contract.
That's right.
Exactly.
Bro.
So at the time, it was Frank Maloney rather, and So now he gave me a 4-fight contract. See how you got on this 4. So I've had these 4 fights, and on my last fight there was another gentleman, an old gentleman, Ernie Fossey. He was what they call a scout for Frank Warren. And Frank Warren was like the kind of the bigger force. He had TV and so forth. So they rung me up, and after this fight, I was at home, and they said, "Oh, Frank Warren wants to speak with you. He's going to offer you a contract. Yeah, how you got in that?" You kind of have to use your head. I was kind of self-managed now, and I said that they offered me a contract for a certain amount of money, which I thought, wow, this is great money.
Yeah.
But I thought, let me call their bluff. I said, oh, I'm not really happy with that money. Blah, blah. So we negotiated, and things got better. Yeah. Frank Warren could bring TV, and TV is where you could earn a really good living from it. So then Frank started to put me on these TV shows, 6-rounders, 8-rounders, and then I remember having my first, they rung me up, I just won this fight, and they said, Matt, we've got a chance for you to fight for the English title over 10 rounds, and I'm like, wow, 10 rounds,
10 rounds
overwhelming. Yeah, and I thought, and they go, look, I said, yeah, let's do it. So we trained, I watched the fighter, and I knew he was a tough guy, but I believed I could beat this guy. Yeah. And I remember fighting him, and I remember round 6, because in Thai boxing there's only 5 rounds, unless you had the extra rounds to do. And I remember round 6, I think, oh, I'm actually sucking up now, feeling it. I weren't pacing myself, so I slowed it down a bit, and then round 7 I regained, and I think it was round 5 I was feeling it. Round 6 I slowed it down, and I stopped him in round 7, and I'd won the English title. I was so overwhelmed, right?
That's so
there's like a natural progression. The next one was the British and Commonwealth, and they said to me, you can have this. So this is like on my 12th fight now, 11th or 12th fight, they offered me the British Commonwealth, and a guy called Michael Sprott, who I still am friend with today, he's a lovely man. And we fought up in Reading, his hometown, and we went away for training camp. We went to Portsmouth, and we stayed on where all the ships are. It was like so strict and that, and we went running, and we just was up there, focused. When I came to fight Michael Sprott in Reading, the Navy came out with me, playing their trumpets and so forth.
Oh wow,
that's pretty cool.
It was really amazing because I was up there with them, and you build up a rapport with them and so forth. And I remember thinking, what a hard fight, because although I thought I had experience, this guy was experienced, good amateur, and I remember thinking, I'm taking a lot of shots here, but I just wanted to win. And I went back to the corner, and my trainer at the time, he goes, Matt, you need to knock him out, because you're higher than point.
Who was your trainer at that time?
So at the time was a guy called Kevin Sanders. And also Eugene Maloney was also looking after me, which was Frank's brother. And I said, and it may sound a bit cocksure, but I said, don't worry, I'm going to knock him out.
You have the belief. You know.
And lo and behold, I knocked him out, and I was overwhelmed. But I remember thinking after the fight, I took so many shots, my defence wasn't good, I was a bit wild. I couldn't even eat for sort of a day because my mouth was all cut inside. But it didn't bother me, because the victory was more important.
More delicious than actual food.
That's right. And but you know, it was such an experience. And then after that, you get offered opportunities. You know, my first year of boxing, I had 10 fights, which is unheard of. But it's also unheard of because as you move up the levels, the fighters are more experienced. They're bigger fights, harder to make, and so forth.
It gets tougher, same time it gets sweeter.
That's right.
That's the thing.
That's right.
But that's the thing. You get the experience, and you get the toughness as well, like especially mental resilience in it as well.
Resilience comes part a lot. So we talk about the fight. We have to talk about your famous fight with Anthony Joshua.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about.
I mean, I'll talk about it. It's his thing, and you know, I have to champion him first and foremost. You know what he achieved last night was amazing. I was there. And the thing about boxing, you see a lot of animosity sometimes between fighters before the fight, but because they know what is on the line, at the end of it, they always shake hands
Yeah.
and acknowledge
Respect
one another. Because no matter how much you might like someone or dislike someone as a person, you have to respect that they're stepping between the ropes. And that's not just at that level, at any level. You're stepping between the ropes to do something where you potentially can get hurt. And it's not, you know, you play tennis, you can lose at tennis, but you may not physically be hurt. You lose in any combat sport, you're going to lose. That in itself is going to hurt you, but you can be physically hurt as well. So there's always respect. But before the Anthony Joshua fight, I'd fought for the WBU. I defended my British and Commonwealth title for over 4 years.
I think he was titled for 2002 to 2004, if I'm not
14.
14, sorry.
I went to Italy and fought for the European Championship, which at the time no one expected me to win, which I won. And again, I was so not overconfident, I was confident in my ability, and I studied my fighter, and I knew I could beat this man. So I come away, and at the time, before me, the only other person to win the WBU was Lennox Lewis as a British fighter, because it's a hard title. A lot of the time, you find some of the top Europeans. So I'd achieved a lot and almost probably exceeded expectation because of my background as a non-amateur and Thai boxing. And I remember when I first started, going back quickly, a lot of the critics, which rightly so, says we've had guys come from kickboxing background before. When it moves up a level, you can't kind of cut it, but I kind of proved them wrong that I did move up and win these titles. I fought for the WBU, which is the World Boxing Union, which is a not as commonly known belt as the WBA, but I won that, which is a world title. And then I fought for the WBA, which is one of the most prestigious belts, and I lost that on the points to a guy called Rozgan Shagayev. I fought in Germany, who at the time was unbeaten. He was a silver medalist in the Olympics. He then went on to lose to one of the Klitschko's. But in my head now, after I'd achieved what I'd achieved, was almost sort of in my head calling it a day. And it weren't the case of, it was a case of I'd lost that hunger. That hunger had kind of gone. Whether it because I thought to myself, thankfully,
the fire gone down a bit.
I've set up.
But if you look at it like actually being from like achieving all these greatness to the point where obviously age is catching up and all that.
But that's the thing.
Your expectations.
That's right.
Exactly. That's the thing, innit? I mean, if the like I said to most people, if the fire is not there, you're not gonna achieve nothing.
That's right. And I always say sometimes, you know, when they talk about that fighter doesn't want to fight that fighter, he's scared. They're not scared. No. Sometimes that hunger's gone, and you can equate it to if you do an office job and you've worked in that office for 6 years and you think, I've had enough of this. But when you first started, it was like, you can't. It's the same, because it is a job and it is something that you can achieve well at or not well at, but you are also providing for your family and so forth. So how it all happened with the Anthony Joshua fight, I was kind of in the process of limbo, calling it a day, and then Kevin Sanders at the time said to me, Matt, we've had a phone call, there's this upcoming fighter, the Olympian, he wants a fight with you, you've achieved such and such, and obviously Matt, he goes, I'm going to be honest with you, he's good, amateur background, blah, 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 and if he beats you, you're a good scalp. That's the reality of the game we're in. He goes, would you be interested in taking the fight? And I said, yeah, why not? I said, let's get in the gym. So we got in the gym and we were training and so forth. And then he comes in and he says, the fight's off. I said, why is that? He goes, because I think Joshua picked up an injury. So it was kind of went on the back burner, thought nothing more of it. So I was in and out of the gym, just doing nothing really, coming up, odd fights maybe in abroad. Sort of last minute things, and I was doing it. So now I didn't have an unbeaten record. I'd lost, and sort of trying to put a perspective of it. You know, you've not got long in this career. I started late. And about a year later, I get the phone call direct to me now through the his match room, I think it was.
So you waited from having a game for whole year, and that time you reckon your fire was going down a bit, because if that could be an impact as well.
Yeah, really, realistically, you know, and you know he was a younger man than me, and you know, and he was just a great Olympian. So we took the fight. No excuses by any measure, but I picked up an injury, and my trainer said to me, "Mate, do you want to fight?" And he goes, "But if you don't fight, they don't need to come back to you. They wanted to fight because of what you've achieved, and it would have probably been a good scalp." I said, "Yeah, you know, why not?" So I went in there, and I lost to Anthony Joshua. It was a funny scenario, really, because at the time I fought him, he was actually 2 years younger than my eldest daughter.
Wow. It's a great achievement anyway from this sort of point of view.
So I kind of laugh at it, and then I remember afterwards in the post-fight, you know, we're talking, and we met, and I met him in the, you know, at his change room. We've spoken and that, and my daughter goes to me, "Oh yeah, Dad, do you mind if I get a picture with Anthony Joshua?" And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. But you know, that's the irony of it, you know, and you know, it's not personal, and I champion him because to me, he became the poster boy for heavyweight boxing. He's well, you know, he comes across well. He handles himself well. I think, you know, when he lost to Usyk, I think it kind of made him realise that the public can be very fickle. And you're loved one day and sort of disregarded the follower. But I think he's kind of took on this new mantle, as in, it's for me, it's for the people around me, the people I love, and I think that's good. And when I seen his performance last night against Ngannou, a brilliant, you know, both of them have a brilliant story. Ngannou's backstory is amazing. But I was really pleased for Anthony Joshua, and I think, hopefully he's kind of found himself again. No matter what you say, if you lose a fight, you lost to Usyk back to back. It's hard. It must shatter your confidence and self-belief.
Touching back the same, like when you lost the fight with Anthony Joshua, obviously it's a big achievement for someone, you know, coming from that experience and thinking of limbo and trying to retire at the same time, and you got the massive call from fighting Anthony Joshua. After that fight, what was your feeling going through your like emotions? Were you emotional? Was it mental state? You think?
No, it was kind of realism. You know, realism. You had to think, Matt, realistically, you're older, you started late, you have to sit down and think, do you continue fighting and almost become a bit of a joke? You can become a bit of a joke, and, you know, I've achieved what no one expected, even probably what I expected from someone who wanted to be a carpenter when leaving school.
That's
gone into a fighting sport, and achieved what I achieved. And I look back, and my daughter always says to me, "Oh, Dad, you don't really appreciate what you've achieved. You've achieved a lot." And I said, "Yeah, but," and she goes, "But you have, Dad, and you got to remember that. And sometimes you don't." Her exact words is, "Sometimes I play it down a bit, but it's like I'm embarrassed of it," or so forth. I said, "It's not embarrassment, but I said I don't want people to put me on a pedestal because I'm just a man like everyone else."
Like we're just talking of behind, like it's humbleness. Humbleness is coming know where your roots from, know the struggle you've been through. You're a normal person like other, but same time it's an achievement, it's inspiration for most of the young generation, saying that because someone who wants to be a carpenter become the world boxing champion, you know, Olympian champion is so inspiring. But at the same time, you know, when you know you are just a human being, you know, and keep you close yourself to the God as well, makes you more humble, like you're just a person God has gifted you.
To me, everybody has, not everybody, but the goal may not be that. The goal may not be to climb Mount Everest. The goal may not be to be an astronaut. The goal may not be, it may be something small. But it's trying to keep focus. But there are a lot of distractions, and there are a lot of reasons why things don't necessarily work out. And sometimes you may be going down this route and something blocks you. You try and find another route, a way around it, or find another outlet. You know, you may talk to people who say, look at lockdown. It put a lot of people who were in sort of despair and thinking, what can I do? And all of a sudden, they founded a little business. And they're happiest they've ever been. You know, they took a positive out of a negative situation, what was just happening globally. It isn't always like that for everyone. I'm not trying to say that happens for everyone, and it's not easy. But you got to just keep trying to struggle on.
Just keep on struggling. I mean,
just to emphasize, and obviously when you spoke about emotion and stuff, like, have you by any chance throughout your whole career, as in like, felt any sort of like mental breakdown or anything like that?
No, luckily, like I said, I grew up, I championed my mum, she's not here, but she was a very religious lady. She gave my family good standing, good understanding, and I know it sounds silly, it's like, if ever for me, I can't speak to everyone else, if I'm feeling a bit down, I kind of think, it doesn't matter, you know, you can strip away all what I've achieved, but my mum named me Matthew Skelton, and that's me, and she's made me the person I am, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
And I try and give that to my kids, because I think, although your kids have to find their own way in life, you have to kind of guide them, because as an older person, as their parent, you want the best for them as well. But you also have to let them make their mistakes, because you learn by your mistakes. But thankfully, touch wood, I've never had that kind of feeling of sort of, the word depression is used a lot.
It's a big word.
It's a big word. So depression, and I've worked with people, I've worked with ex-soldiers, I've got PTSD and so forth, and just general sort of what I may call addictions and so forth. And the word depression can be used a lot, and I'm not saying that you can, if someone says you're depressed, far be it for us to say, no, you're not, that's not depression. There's clinical depression, and there's depression on the day-to-day, you feel a certain way, and people take their lives, and it's sad, and it's trying to help them, support them to come through that, because you know, I've got personal friends who have took their lives, and you always think, if you could have spoke to them at that moment, would it have changed, and would things have been different? If you could show them that the outlook 2 days from now would be different, they'd be here with us now. But we don't know what's going through their mind. If we knew, we wouldn't have suicides and so forth. But you know, you just, and you know, us as men sitting here, it's still, although we say we want to be open and talk about it, it's still very much taboo. It's still very much.
It's like a never-ending conversation. It's like, there's so much that's going on. There's so much that you want to say as well, but like, because of how society is now, you can't really express your feeling as a man as well. So I feel like
what we discuss most of the time, and as a man, it's sometimes it's like,
it's very hard.
It's how you brought up is also, I take it, for me to come on and talk about my mental health is so hard. Like, I will just say to myself, just suck it up, do what you gotta do and move on.
It's hard, and because maybe, I don't know, the support network is growing, like we're here talking about it, you guys are young men to me, and it's very much hard for young men to talk about it. I'm an older guy, and I have a good network of friends. We still try and get together on a regular basis. We talk about illnesses in men and so forth, which would have been taboo. And it's just trying to find someone. There is probably someone out there in your friendship group. You may just touch on the subject, and he might say, do you know what, I didn't know you were going through that. I've been the same, but I didn't want to talk to everyone on the whole. We can talk, and you can ring up, and sometimes it's just picking up the phone and checking on someone. Do you know what, I haven't seen you for, how are you doing this and that? And they might say, well, actually, thanks for the call, because it shows that someone's thinking about them. And we all have our struggles, we all have our issues, so sometimes you forget that, because you're here having your struggle and you think, no one's thinking about me, but that person having their struggle, they're thinking the same. And if you think, do you know what, let me pick up the phone, then all of a sudden, wow, he's helped you and you've helped him.
You could say he's going to change it.
That's right.
Change his life.
I mean, it's like you said, it's important, man. I mean, reach out. like you just said, it's quite like it's making me sad, sometimes talk about mental health not been talked a lot compared to women, but which is good that women struggle a lot, but mental health is not been, people are not aware about mental health, but having that support system next to you, checking on your friends when been checked on them is really make a big difference, because the way we go up, the way we go down is so quick.
It is very quick, and the thing about it as well is you hear a lot of guys who take their own life, and men especially. It's a certain way they do it. Even the way they take their life is kind of, it's a definite. There's no coming. There's no one who's gonna
save them.
Yeah, I can't explain it. It's kind of the most brutal way in my eyes. Anyone who takes their life is absolutely horrendous. But it's almost like, and society is there are things out there to help us and so forth. But it's finding them, and then it's being able to talk to them and get the right help. And it is hard. It is getting better.
Also, I think I heard about you're a part of the well-being.
So I work with an organisation which is a homeless charity, but I work specifically with ex-soldiers. A lot of them suffer from PTSD, drinking alcohol. So it's weird because you get the older guys who, when they join the armed forces, the culture was to have a drink, to socialise. And the younger guys, a lot of them are Class A drugs to kind of thing. But what I'm finding is a lot of the guys, especially the young guys who have gone into the armed forces, have gone into it because their home life wasn't good, and they see it as a bit of an escapism, a bit of a family, but they've never dealt with the issue previously, so they've gone into the armed forces, and which is a massive strain. You're there, potentially could go to war and lose your life, and although we don't think of world wars, there's a lot of wars and factions going on around the world, and you might get employed to go and do there and all of a sudden you have never dealt with the issues at hand before you went there, and then all of a sudden you go in there,
it's a boom,
you come out, and and it's hard. There is help out there now, but it's trying to access it,
trying to reach out as well. How do they get in contact with Matt?
So what was the charity?
So the organisation is called Amicus Trust, and they're a homeless charity in general. So they have houses around Bedfordshire, Leicester and so forth, so you can access them. But also I work predominantly with ex-servicemen, and they have projects in Bedford, Leicester. Each area has a veterans project.
Yes, guys, so my charity, that we'll put the link down below. Please go check it, and anybody who's struggling, please reach out as much you can, guys. Please don't be shy. You know what I'm saying? So man, this
man, I feel like this conversation
can
go so well.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been great, and I think what you guys are doing here is amazing. And I've got other friends in this industry, in the sport. I will definitely put them in touch with you, because I think it's good for them to come and talk and let people know what's happening. Because I'm hopefully gonna reach a few certain people that I know, but then they can let people they know and so forth, and it's all positive. It's all positive, and it's good what you guys are doing here, and I champion you. Say from a chance meeting on a night out, and
I think first time I met you, I was in a night out. Simon introduced.
That's right,
and it was so good.
The first time I met him, it was in Matt Skelton's, the gym down the Ring and Road gym.
That's right.
So my guy is actually gonna laugh at this, because I walked in there with Mo and I saw Matt Skelton just punching the bag up. I was like, because this is the first time I actually got into sports as well.
Okay.
So I got in there, and then we met him as well. We spoke. I don't know if he remembers me.
I remember you when I do remember you. So the thing about with me, because you do meet a lot of people, names, but I remember faces. But it's just nice, like I say, you guys are doing a great job, and I'll just keep it up.
Thank you very much. Before we move forward, before we close this, I know cameraman saying we're out of time, but this is a good, interesting topic, and same time good information that we're putting out. What do you think about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight? We need to take from your point of view.
Well, from my point of view, Mike Tyson, ups and downs. his name is set in history,
100%.
whether because of his style, so you look at Mike Tyson today, he's a small heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's classed as a small heavyweight. So when you think what he achieved back then, I don't see nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of people who say, Jake Paul, a YouTuber and so forth, but I think he's done it, and no matter what we say, people might say they're not real boxers. What is a real boxer? None of us are born with gloves on. We learn.
If you look in the fact that Jake Paul is quite true inspiration for coming down, for influencing, for nothing, making out prank jokes to achieving the achievements. He's promoting a good sport. It's a journey for him as well. So you're expect and coming out of being fighting Mike Tyson is just
because ultimately he doesn't have to do that, but he wants to do it, and the fact that he wants to do it,
and he can get hurt.
Of course you can get hurt, and although people may think it's all staged and whatever, you can listen. You watch WWF wrestling; they can get hurt, and that's all staged, So the way I look at it, I don't begrudge him. Fair play to him. Jake Paul, give me a ring.
Yeah, Jake Paul, you heard that. Calling out for you, man. Calling out for you, Mike.
The way I look at it, fair play to him.
I don't know. This is a tricky question to ask you, but would you ever fight Mike Tyson?
When I fight Mike Tyson, I think it would be a bit of of course, it would be great to say that I've shared the ring with the Mike Tyson. Ultimately, of course, I would, and it's like asking someone a lower weight division saying, would you fight Mayweather? You may think I'm going to go in there, but you then come away with the saying, I've shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather. Of course I would, and obviously I'd train and do the best I can, and I'd love to do it.
I do appreciate, the fire is still there. It's not going down. It's still
because you look back, then you can look back and you can sit down and say, man, I share the room with Mike Tyson, because no matter what you say, and I just want to put this out there, Lennox Lewis was one of my favourite fighters of all time, and I think he's been overlooked because he was seen as Canadian initially, but if you look at his achievements, he's avenged every fighter he's lost to. I think he's a very humble man. I think he came across well. There was no real bad press behind him. And I think maybe because, again, the British public didn't recognise him as one of their own. And at the time, he had Frank Bruno to contend with, who everybody loved. He was a household name. I'd just like to say that mainly, most of the fighters I've met, and most over the years, they are good people. They just want to earn a living and do a sport they love.
Sports teach you so much. It just teach you discipline, the respect.
I think it's more so just discipline and the commitment that you pay.
Determination. Determination. Okay, one more question, last question before we shoot up. Who do you think is going to win the fight, Mike or Jake Paul?
Can I just say that I think theoretically, on paper, it should be Mike, but and this is not a slur. I think it's kind of going to be. I think you might see a draw. On paper. I think you might see a draw. I think obviously realistically, Mike Tyson will win the fight. He's still got the power. He's obviously been in the gym working with Ngannou. He's got that little hunger back. I've seen a few
clips,
and he still looks explosive. But he's in good shape still. For what is he, 50
something?
He's still in good shape. Looks after him, and I think that experience at that level and his mental mindset, he's probably going to think.
You know what? Even though once he stopped fighting, but he was also he always stayed in touch with the sports.
That's right. He's always been around.
That's the mentality is still there. So
he's always been around. So listen, it's great for them. It's great for us.
It's good for boxing. It's great for boxing.
Well, I know I'll be watching. There are a lot of cynics out there saying Jake Paul, but I think fair play to him. And why begrudge someone because people say, and I think what happens sometimes, he's earning a lot of money. And I think there's people in the sport who have trained from the age of 10 and will never see his salary. as a fighter.
Yeah.
That's life, isn't it?
That's
you know,
life.
and
someone I'm born.
yeah,
lifestyle.
and I always say to someone, so you're walking down the street singing away to yourself, and Simon Cowell approaches and says, "Oh my God, what an amazing voice! I can make you a multi-millionaire." You're not going to say, "Well, actually, Simon, I'm not a great singer." You actually say, I can sing.
I got good voice. Put me in the studio.
That's right. And Jake Paul has an opportunity to earn a lot of money, but the guys who are fighting him earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, so why wouldn't they?
Yeah, one day, 100%.
And it's a sad state of affairs, but they're securing their family long term and so forth, and still doing something they enjoy. Mike Tyson still obviously must like being around that era. He could say no. He's been offered things before and said no, but I think maybe because we've seen him working with Ngannou, he's back in the gym, feeling the buzz and thinking, actually, I wouldn't mind having another go.
Might have another go. Let's see.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, man.
He's only right because he's worked hard for it as well. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He wants to bring back his legacy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The legacy is always there anyway.
Cool.
So, damn.
But yeah, I feel like we've had this conversation.
Listen, we can do it again.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get part two. We have to come back for part two.
And although, obviously my background is, but we can sit and talk about like mental health, people's well-being.
Yeah.
Yes,
I do kind of have a mindset about other things. Obviously sport was my background, but we can talk about other things, touch on other subjects.
So therefore the part two is pending.
Yeah.
So guys, stay tuned for the part two. Also, we would like to give you this book called Well-Being by Audrey Tang.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you very much.
You did so much work on the
That's
well-being,
brilliant.
and
That's good.
Be really good for it.
All right. And guys, thank you again. There you go. And keep up the good work.
One message you have to give to the young generation right now, what that will be to somebody to trying to achieve the big goals.
I just think you got to stay positive. Try and surround yourself with positive people. You can be easily influenced, and sometimes you get taken down the wrong path accidentally. But listen, sometimes people who want good for you. And sometimes there are people who, when they see you're doing good, they try and bring you down. And I just want to leave you this one quote. I used to go to the Peacock Gym in London. And I remember when I went there and I was skipping and I was warming up. And on the wall, there's a saying, and it always resonates with me. Everyone loves a trier until they succeed. So when you're trying to come up the ladder, you got people going, come on, come on, come on. And then when you get to the top, they kind of might begrudge you. They don't want to see you. They want to see you stumble. They want to see you fall.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to think about that, think who's around you, and have positive people around you. Yeah,
definitely.
You heard that,
That was
surround yourself with positive people and obviously the same mindset as well. Yeah.
Definitely, man. Damn. It's just giving me goosebumps, Just giving me goosebumps sitting there. It's so good, man. So thank you very much again, man.
Thank you, guys.
To our
Appreciate
podcast, sharing a really good wisdom and your story, your achievement, your struggle. But part two is pending, like we said.
You need to make a part to your mental health as well.
Yeah.
So you speak to more about it.
I'll just go. So before we finish, this is how we end our whole episode. We just go, sheesh. Sheesh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Nice one, man. Respect. Thank you.